And welcome back, everybody, to the 2-Point Conversion NFL DFS podcast, your Wild Card Weekend DraftKings preview. This will be a quickie. You can find me on Twitter at BDNtrick. You got the two usuals. We're back after a couple of weeks of the Dose pods. We got Bucks. You can find me on Twitter at BPSnow11. Bucks, how we doing?
Doing great, Bubba. Doing really well. Thanks, man.
And James and Hot Commute. You can find him on Twitter at Pater_DFS. James, how we doing?
Oh, man, it's crazy life we live. I'm doing the podcast from my car this week. So, yep, great.
I love it. Just to get the content out. Before we get to those 4 games, DraftKings released a statement today. They're going to play single game DFS for the NFL, the single game showdown. They're advertising it. You can play it this weekend, like Wildcard, Carolina, New Orleans. I think they're getting it ready for Super Bowl, and next year, we saw the arcade mode and pick'ems drop. Single game DFS, essentially, you pick 4 offensive players, 2 defensive players. The defensive players have 15 stat categories, just like offensive players, from a half point to 10 points for safeties, block kicks, the works. You could draft both quarterbacks in the game. There's really nothing set in stone on what you got going on. But this week, they're going to have it for the Saints-Panthers game. The biggest contest is a $33 entry with $500,000 guaranteed prize pool. It is only available in 41 states, according to DraftKings, as there are states that don't allow single game action. There are 18 states still debating it. So eventually stuff might take place, but it's moving in the direction where now we have IDP players in DraftKings. It's going to make it a whole nother animal. Just a quick, Twitter response, 280 characters. So what are your thoughts on this one, Bucks?
I think it's interesting. I mean, I'm all about it because I personally like short slates, and I like the fact that in 2.5, 3 hours you can be done and see what you want and move on. And I was reading up on it, and there's nothing about the one game, but they are going to have some stipulations where you can't have everybody on the same team, and so they're getting around it by forcing you to choose different players from different teams on different positions, and then obviously the defensive players. So I think it's cool that they're introducing new stuff, but we'll see how it goes. I'm shocked that they're doing it for like the last week of the season, but whatever.
Yeah, well, they want to keep it going all the way to the Super Bowl. What do you got on this one, James?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to innovation. I think that any of the sites doing the next quote-unquote big thing is a good thing. I think that we need to continue to innovate the sport as the edge decreases in the main game types. Edge opens up in these kind of niche game types. So I think that it's interesting. I think it's good. IDP is really, really, really tough. It's a really hard thing to get around. So I think that if you can nail that part of it, then you'll be golden and have some edge on the first couple weeks.
Yeah, that's going to present a really sharp edge for a small portion of players that have played IDP before. So that'll be interesting in itself. Isn't it last year they did the Super Bowl and Pro Bowl together?
Yeah.
I like this a lot, and it's fun that they picked the Carolina New Orleans game. It's second highest total on the board. Basically, it's outside of the Atlanta and the Rams, so it's 2 teams you expect to kind of go at it. And like James was saying, that the IDP side of it, if you played in IDP leagues, you could have the quote unquote best defensive players on the field, and in the long run, it still might not matter because all heck happens on the defensive side of the football. So. Like you said, nailing the defensive side of it will make things very, very interesting. So it'll be fun to kind of get that going, and come next season, it'll be fun. We know how they like to, keep the Sunday slates, turn the money over, so you play the small slates. Now you can play like a Saturday morning game, then a Sunday afternoon, like the 125 games, so on and so forth. Could be really cool and a nice, like you said, innovative way to expand the game without, ruining it, I think. So. It's good. We'll see how that breaks down. Maybe talk about it at a later date and time. But let's get at the 4-game slate. We'll kick it off Tennessee at Kansas City with 2 Saturday games, 2 Sunday games. Saturday, 4:35 Eastern. Game is in Kansas City. Kansas City 7.5-point home favorites. Totals 44.5. Bucks, what are you taking away from this one?
Yeah, I think in this game, it's pretty clear. If you're going to play this game, it's pretty clear where you need to go. Mariota is a guy that I've wanted to play all year, but he just has been awful all year long. And while this matchup I think is juicy, Kansas City's starting to play a little better. But I cannot see in any world, unless you're playing mass entry, where you can take Mariota with any sort of confidence. So with that being said, I do like Alex Smith this week. Tennessee has been super vulnerable. And Kareem Hunt should be able to catch quite a few passes. The only thing that's interesting to me about Kansas City and their pass game is that there's not too many options as far as the receivers go, especially now with a few injuries. And so Tyreek Hill is obviously in play. He's a big playmaker, should get the outside of him, I think the only other receiver that I will take is going to be Travis Kelce this week. And I'm not a big pay-up for tight end fan, but this week I think that he dominates, to be honest with you. I don't think they have anybody that can cover him. And so I really, really like him this week. If you're going to take somebody cheaper as like a flyer for some reason, D. Robinson for Kansas City, I think should see quite a few targets, an uptick. He got quite a few early season and then the last few games. But again, it's 4 games. I don't think you need to go that crazy in this. So on the other side of the ball, I mean, if DeMarco Murray's out, Derrick Henry is solid, but he's $6K this week. So I would avoid it. Rashard Matthews, I love typically, but Mariota's been so bad that his upside is capped. And so with that being said, stack Kansas City. Even the defense is in play for me, so that's all I got.
What about you, James?
Yeah, I've been saying it all year that with Kansas City, you either have to fade them or you have to full stack them.
Yeah.
Kansas City is not a team that out points. They strike from far outside of the end zone, almost. They don't go into the red zone very often, so I like the idea on a 4-game slate of going like a full Kansas City onslaught, going Alex Smith, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Kareem Hunt, and just hoping that they have one of the best scores on the week. If you're not going to do that, then I think that the best option on that team would be Travis Kelce. You guys know that I don't like attacking Tennessee with deep threats because they run that double back zone that kind of neutralizes really, really deep threats. But Tyreek Hill profiles a lot like Ty Hilton, so he's had a good game. So I think you could play Tyreek Hill. I like Travis Kelce the most as a single person. I do like Delaney Walker a lot.
Yeah.
In this spot because I think that to keep it, it's gonna be Delaney Walker that keeps them close. Rashard Matthews is another option, but notice it's really a prime option for me. I think with this game, you're either full Kansas City onslaught or you're not taking anyone.
Yeah, a couple things on this one. I agree. Alex Smith, 6,300, one of the better quarterbacks on the slate in this matchup. Tyreek Hill at 68. Kelce, by far, in my opinion, is the best tight end out of the 4 games at $7,100. Something on the Kansas City defense there, 3,400. I think they're one of the 3 I've been looking at. I think it's a $1,000 pivot off of Jacksonville. When you look at Adam Levitan had a stat. The Kansas City defense has given up no more than 21 points at home since week 1 of 2016. So they shut teams down. They could be a nice pivot off of Jacksonville to save $1,000 this week. In order to get a lot of these big players we're going to talk about this week in your lineup, and you want to be a little different, you're going to have to go on the ledge a little bit. So if you're not playing Kansas City's defense, some of Tennessee's, if you want to roll the dice, is in play. Like Derrick Henry at 6K, he was on 97% of the snaps last week. He got a heavy workload and they're going to want to slow down the passing attack of Kansas City. Sounds weird saying passing attack, but that's what they are right now. So Kansas City's defense is not, paper-wise great, but they play well at home. So pick your poison. Delaney Walker, I agree, 4,700 is a very solid mid-range tight end option, probably third or fourth tight end this week. And then a cheap just dart receiver for the Titans. And just bear with me on this, but Eric Decker's $3,500, and he has had 21 targets in the last 3 weeks. As goofy as that offense is, he's been getting seen early and often. Not getting in the end zone at all, but double digits 2 of the last 3 weeks. He's a very cheap piece. You're going to have to get a couple $3,000 guys in your lineup if you want the big boys when I was building lineups last night. So Decker at 35 is one I do have my eye on. Let's go to the second game on Saturday. We got the Atlanta Falcons at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 5.5-point favorites. Total is 49.5, your highest total on the 4-game slate. James, kick us off on this one.
Yeah, so this has some very nice fantasy upside. Jared Goff and Todd Gurley, obviously, very much in play. Goff, 6,700. Gurley, much more expensive, but I don't think that I'm really worried about it. I think that Gurley is the best play on this entire slate, and it's not really close, like more than anybody else, any other position on this slate. I think you just have to lock him here and just hope that he has one of those games. Fading him seems like, I can see it in GPPs, but in cash, do not fade Todd Gurley. Julio Jones is a player who has not had the fantasy season that we've wanted from him, but still has that just insane upside. So this is the pivot off of Carolina, New Orleans. I do think game stacking is the right way to go on these short slates. By far, Todd Gurley. You could like Robert Woods. I can like Sammy Watkins. I like the receivers in this matchup, but it's about the running backs, and I would probably like Jared Goff more than anyone else, really. I guess it's hard for me to like full stacking game, but I really do like all the smaller pieces. I like Leo, I like Todd Gurley, but that's pretty much it for first place.
What about you, Bucks?
Yeah, I love this game, man. And mainly one side of it. I think the Rams are legit, man. They have put up points all year long, and they're about to play a vulnerable team in Atlanta. And so I really like Goff this week. I think $6,700 for a guy with that much upside is sick. So I love Goff. I love Gurley this week. I have to play Gurley because I do expect the Rams to put up points. And I think they put up points early in the passing attack if they aren't on the goal line. So I expect the Rams to put up points, and I expect Gurley to dominate as well. So I'm personally going to stack Goff, Gurley, and old Bob Woods, and then move on from there and figure it out. I do like Cooper Kupp this week and Sammy Watkins, but I think Robert Woods is that go-to guy. On the other side of the ball, I'm going to be looking at Devontae Freeman and his injury. If he is still hobbled going into the weekend, and I think he's going to be somewhat limited, I think Tevin Coleman at $4,100 is really, really good value, especially in a game that I expect them to be playing from behind. I think Tevin Coleman is going to get a ton of work. I am personally fading Julio Jones this week. His catch rate has been garbage. And yes, he can go off at any time, but you're playing a pretty good defense here, and I think that they are going to give him a little extra attention. If I were to go anywhere on that team, I'm going Sanu as the second option because I think they're going to have to force feed him there. I want to play like Austin Hooper, but he's terrible. And so I think that would be the position to target in this game if he was any good, but I just don't have any faith in him. So Rams stack all the way.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on board with that. Goff at 6,700 is outstanding. Pretty crazy. I know it's only a 4-game slate, but you got guys like Breeze and Smith who's had a good year, and Cam Newton and stuff on this slate, and Goff's our most expensive quarterback. That says a lot about where he's come in this progression. Gurley at 97, I agree with everything you guys said. He's basically a must play this week. But see, playing guys like him is why you need those value guys to take chances on. So I love Gurley. I have him in all of my lineups that I have built already. So he is definitely in there. Woods I can get behind, but my guy's Cooper Kupp at 58. The Falcons struggle severely against the slot receivers. So I think Kupp could eat at 5,800. If you want to fade Atlanta's offense completely, or as we've mentioned on small slates, you can still play defenses and play one guy or two guys from the other side to be different. The Rams D at home, especially, they're only $2,700. They are a massive salary saver to me on this slate, so I don't hate that at all. On the Atlanta side, I do agree with Sanu at 56, Coleman at 41. Even if Freeman's healthy, I think that's a nice salary saver in a game where they're going to need all the help they can get offensively, I have a feeling. So Coleman at 41, and then if you just GPP-wise, I know he's been garbage, but Hooper at 29 really opens up a ton to your lineup. If he can just sneak in like a red zone touchdown, you'll be way ahead of the game at $2,900. It's a gamble, big gamble, but I don't mind it. And he's a California kid, so maybe he gets a little home cooking. Who knows? Let's go to the first game on Sunday. You got Buffalo at Jacksonville. Jacksonville 7.5-point favorites. Total's only 40.5. Bucks kick us off in Jacksonville.
Leonard Fournette, man, that's the guy. I think $7,400 for him is just insanely cheap, and I fully expect Jacksonville. I mean, they may shut them out. Like, I don't see a way that Buffalo is going to keep up in this game. Because, one, Bortles has a bunch of weapons, but Fournette, I think, is just going to pound and pound and pound. Obviously, I am a huge fan of LaShawn McCoy, but I have no hopes that he's going to play this game. And if he is out and they are forced to throw the ball, I just don't see any way it happens. With that being said, the one guy on the Bills that I might go at, if healthy, would be Charles Clay, just because I don't have any other big targets for those quick 5-7 yard passes. So Charles Clay is somebody that I'll look at, but even then he's $4K. I mean, he's more expensive in a tough situation. So, and then they're super expensive, but you have to at least give the Jaguars a look at defense. I mean, like I said, if McCoy's out, I'm not sure that they're going to put up more than I would put him in single-digit points for the game. So I'm definitely looking at the Jags and then Leonard Fournette.
Yep, don't hate it. What about you, James?
So if LaShawn McCoy misses, then what percentage of Mike Tolbert should we have in our lineups?
You need some.
Dude, okay. Panthers fan, and Mike Tolbert has been a thorn in my side for over a decade.
He's a vulture.
Look. But he's a vulture, but that means that they like using him in the red zone, and if LaShawn McCoy misses and he gets 20 carries and all the red zone work, the Jacksonville's biggest weakness is their rush defense.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So, if LaShawn McCoy misses, it's a 4-game slate. I might end up going full degen mode and just playing Mike Tolbert because tag's really nice. We know they trust him in the red zone. So Mike Tolbert is really, really interesting to me if LaShawn McCoy misses. LaShawn, on the other side, Leonard Fournette, I don't like near as much as I like Gurley, and I'm only going to be paying up for one running back. So as much as I understand the Leonard Fournette love. I do. The Bills suck against the run, but I would much rather have Gurley on the slate. With that being said, I don't think the Bills score more than 10 points here. I really don't. Jacksonville's defense will be owned, and I really do like using Kansas City defense as well, as Buck said. So yeah, I don't have any interest in this game, Mike Tolbert, if LaShawn McCoy is going to be out.
Yeah, this game screams find your value if you want to GPP gamble. If you're single entry, probably not. But the Tolbert love or the guy that got 7 carries for 41 yards and 2 catches for 7 yards last week, they're already reporting he's going to be in for a big workload this week if McCoy's out, which is not looking good, is Marcus Murphy. He's $3,700 because Tolbert will get the goal line, but Murphy will get all those touches in between. So he's another guy to look at 3,700. Play at 4K I like a lot because that is basically the only way you're beating them in the passing game at $4,000. On Jacksonville's side, yes, Fournette's definitely in play. You got Hearns at 46 as a cheap receiver option if you need a value receiver there. The Jags D agree at 44. Bortles will be severely overlooked, but I don't see them in a need to pass like crazy. But he has 6K, and we've seen how productive he has been. So he's on the board if you're not going Breeze or Goff or Alex Smith, something like that. But he definitely is in play there. But I like the cheap Buffalo backs if you want to get some extreme value with some touches, guaranteed touches. Let's look at the last game on the slate, Carolina at New Orleans. That's that single game DFS game that we talked about earlier. New Orleans 6-point home favorites. Total is 48, second highest total on the board. Teams that know each other very, very well. On Carolina's side of the ball, you got Newton at 65. He's just not throwing the ball right now very well at all. You require it all on the ground. We know he can do it, so you don't put it past him, but I prefer Breeze at 64. Seems like the kind of game to go with him, as everyone will go to. I think Smith and Goff will be very highly owned, so Breeze at 64 could be nice in this matchup. The running backs, McCaffrey has had 2 really good games against New Orleans at 6,400, so I don't hate that at all. And then Kamara's 86 and Ingram 69. Ingram at 69 being 1,700 less than Kamara is tremendous. They're basically getting the same workload on the season. I think Kamara has 1 or 2 more touchdowns on the season than Ingram. So saving $1,700, getting Ingram at 69 is outstanding. I'm not saying Kamara is not a play, but if you're going Gurley, you can match him up with Ingram and look pretty darn nice if you really want to. Receiving-wise, Michael Thomas came back, looked okay. Again, Jr. 51. Funchess has had 2 good games against New Orleans this year at 5,900. This is a very stackable game, obviously. But Greg Olsen at 5K, I do like him after Kelsey and Delaney Walker. But the value on the slate to me, unfortunately, I've heard him a lot. I circled him last night, and then I've heard his name a lot today. But the receiving core in Carolina is just gone, absolutely gone. So you get a guy for $3,000 named Brenton Burson for Carolina. He's been their number 2 receiver. He's got 4 targets in each of the last 2 games, 5.6 and 7.5 points. He's $3,000, and he opens up everything for you. So he's a very, very solid, cheap GPP play. Not a cash game play by any means, but an extreme GPP play. You're a Carolina fan, James. What can you tell us about Burson, and what's your takes on this game?
I can tell you that Burson is not a very good athlete. Well, I mean, like, I don't want to say that he's not a good football player, because there's a difference between not being a good football player and not being a good athlete. Burson's smart, and he runs smart routes, but he's not an upside guy. Like, he's been bouncing around the league. He's been tendered. He's been FA'd. He's been consistent with Carolina over the last couple of years, but he's not somebody that's ever had a high upside. He's never been a household name. He doesn't do much with targets. He's basically Adam Humphries. So I get it as a GPP play on a short slate, but man, it would hurt me to play him. I'd much rather play I don't know. I'd rather get like the cheap plays from Tennessee. I'd rather play Eric Decker over Burson, because at least I know Decker is able to catch a ball in the end zone. I don't think Burson is a touchdown ever.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I get it. I get it on a short slate, but man, he's just so unathletic. With that being said, I love this game from every other angle. I love Cam Newton. I think he has more upside than any other QB on the slate. I like Ted Ginn Jr. a lot in like a revenge playoff narrative, whatever. I I really, really like Christian McCaffrey. I really, really like Mark Ingram. Like you said, for 6,900, you get a really, really nice workload from a running back. So I like this game from all sides. I'm surprised that New Orleans is a 6-point home favorite. I thought they would be maybe 4, 3.5, but it is what it is. I like this game from all sides. I like the Carolina side a little bit more, but I do think that you can stack it.
What about you, Bucks?
Yeah, I think this will be a very popular stacked game, obviously. Only 4 games on the slate. I do like Breeze this week, but the one quarterback that I'll probably hammer more than anybody is going to be Cam Newton. The reason why I say that is because where in the hell else is he going to go? You know that he likes keeping the ball. You know that he likes the goal line work as well. With his shoulder still lingering as an issue, I fully expect him to run all over the place in this game. Like, I think that New Orleans puts up points, and he has to try to do it himself. So I love Cam this game. I think and I don't even know if it's bold, one of my predictions this week is Cam rushing for over 100 yards. But I'm going to stack him with McCaffrey because he doesn't have that many options, because New Orleans is sneaky decent. I think that he dumps it off a ton to McCaffrey, a ton. And so I like both of them this week, especially with Jonathan Stewart a little bit banged up. I obviously have to monitor that situation, but McCaffrey and Cam Newton are like the 2 guys that I'm like all in this week. On the other side of the ball, though, Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn Jr. is a guy I really, really like this week. $5,200 for Ted Ginn is awesome. And so I really like them. But I like the Saints D as like a sneaky D play. But, again, I think Cam Newton has a really big game, and I think he keeps them in it. I'm not saying they win, but I'm saying they score more than 24 points, and he's the main guy doing it all. So I love Cam this week.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind the feelings there. We won't play our normal game this week with 4 games, but I'll throw a couple questions out to you guys. Is Cam your top quarterback then, Bucks?
Yeah, it'll be Cam then Goff.
What about you, James?
Yeah, it's actually Cam and then Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan has the next best upside.
Yeah, I like Breeze and Alex Smith, but Cam's right there. I can't hate what you guys are saying there at all. In the realm of running backs, you got Ingram and McCaffrey and Fournette. What's your top one there, Bucks?
My top one's Fournette, but McCaffrey is a close second.
What about you, James?
McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'll go Ingram. And then for a receiver question, Cooper Kupp or Mohamed Sanu, Bucks?
I like Kupp. I think Sanu has a tough matchup, even if they cover Julio pretty hard.
What about you, James?
That's tough for me, but I think I like Kupp more. It's a coin flip for me, though.
Yeah.
Okay. At the tight end position, would you rather have Greg Olsen or Delaney Walker, Bucks?
Walker.
James?
Greg Olsen.
All right. And then defense we've pretty much already handled. So if you weren't going to take the Jags or the Chiefs, who would be your third option?
That's tough. Probably the Chargers.
Chargers aren't in it.
I mean, not Chargers, the Rams.
I know, I was messing with you. What about you, James?
I agree, Rams.
Yeah, I like that Rams D for 27 a lot. But yeah. All right, that'll wrap it up. Nice, quickie, 4-game slate in the books. As always, check out the boys. Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. James is at Pater_DFS. I am at BDentric. Enjoy the weekend. Fun 2 games on each day. DraftKings has a 4-game full slate, 2-game Sunday, and apparently a 1-game last game of the week slate. So until next time, this is the 2 Point Conversion NFL DFS podcast covering your NFL Wildcard Weekend. Catch you guys later.